Well, now we have our dear friend, Byron Donalds, with us. Congressman, how are you, sir?
Doing good, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing great. Now, we're going to start here, and then I need to take you over the other segment, if I may. What is going on Capitol Hill? I understand you've tried to advance a fairly and solidly conservative proposal on the budget. And tell us about it and what's going on.
Well, what we've been able to negotiate with some of the members on the moderate side of our conference, some of the members of part of the Main Street Caucus, is a short-term spending cut. It will be an 8% cut to all the agencies. It would leave DOD and our veterans with what they need to continue their missions. And it would secure our southern border. It would actually pass H.R. 2, our border security package, into law. And so basically what it does is it puts the fight about border security squarely in the middle of government funding and a shutdown. It makes the president and the Senate decide if they want to fund the government and secure our border, or if they want to shut the government down and not secure our border.
And you're saying you were able to negotiate this with some of the moderate Republicans, so you have that kind of a significant unity behind this?
Well, I think what's happened is you have a lot of members, regardless if they're, more conservative, America First members, or they're more moderate members, who see the border as such a disaster for our country. The fentanyl killing our people, the migrants flooding our cities, the border completely unsecure, the cartels having control of a portion of our country, and they're fed up with it. And then you have the other issue where, look, we're running a $2 trillion deficit. Fitch Ratings just downgraded our debt, and they want to try to do something. So what we've basically kind of agreed to is, well, let's cut the agencies at least some as a stopgap measure while we continue to work on the appropriation bills in the House to further cut spending and to further get rid of these crazy policies put in by Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, and I will add, Mitch McConnell in the Senate when they signed off on that omnibus deal before in the last lame duck.
So at least somebody now, you folks, have united around this proposal, which does cut domestic spending and puts the border right out front that we need to deal with it immediately. Are you getting opposition for this?
Yeah, we have some opposition in the House from some members who are in the Freedom Caucus. And look, let me be clear about my colleagues. They passionately care about this country, and their view right now is that things are so dire that there's no ability to negotiate something in the House to save the country. So why let the government continue? My view is let's actually try to get some wins on securing the border, and then we can use that to then move into with other Republicans about, going after the Department of Justice and weaponization, going after the ATF and pistol braces, going after all the woke policies in the Department of Defense, going over the woke policies in the Department of Homeland Security, these things that are truly undermining us as a nation. So I think really, Mark, we're having a tactical difference of what's the best way to go about saving the country. So we'll see where it ends up over the next couple of days.
And Schumer's trying to jam all you guys, isn't he? He blew off the lid in the last deal as if it never took place. They're holding money needed for FEMA, for Florida and Maui, and so forth as part of this. They're throwing in all kinds of massive new spending and expansion of government, and then they're saying, take it or leave it, aren't they?
Yeah, that's exactly what they're saying. And Chuck Schumer even said it, I believe, earlier today. That's what he plans on doing. He's already come out and said that even the proposal we're discussing is simply dead on arrival in the Senate. And I think it's important for the American people to understand, and I know your listeners definitely understand, that these Democrats in the Senate and this White House are so diabolical. They truly believe in fundamental transformation, and they simply do not care. So it's important that we have these political fights when they come so people know where Republicans stand, and we fight on every footing possible to achieve success.
Byron Donalds, I'm a resident of Florida. I spent time in Virginia. I have come to a conclusion about Matt Gaetz that he's not so much a conservative as he is, well, I'm not sure. And I'm not trying to drag you into this discussion, but is he in a battle or a confrontation with you two now? Is that what I'm reading and seeing?
I mean, look, Matt tweeted directly about me and what I was doing. he's entitled to do that. But, I'm going to respond, Mark. I always do. I tell my friends who wonder how I deal with politics is that, look, I'm a man first. Politics comes second. So, if Matt wants to make this a thing between me and him, we can do that. But like I asked him today on social media, what's your plan? How are you going to achieve the objective you're telling everybody you want to achieve? Because in the House, in the body, you got to be able to count votes. And you don't count votes just sending out tweets and hot takes. You count votes trying to, work hard and figure a path forward to be successful.
I ask you this question because I notice, again, I'm trying to drag you. I was reading some of these things today. I find a lot of his battle with McCarthy is personal. A lot of his battle with a lot of people is personal. And it's not like you're that far apart on philosophy, but if you disagree on strategy, I thought that was a pretty crappy shot he took at you, quite frankly.
Well, look, it's okay to disagree about strategy and tactics. We don't have to agree on everything. We're not liberals. We're not Marxists where we just move in lockstep. We have these disagreements from time to time, and that's all well and good, But I think, look, there's issues I've had with Speaker McCarthy on how he's done things. I didn't agree with the debt ceiling deal at all. I had, vehemently disagreed with that. But right now, he's a Speaker of the House. And so, I think even for your listeners and for a lot of people, my concern is that if we get into this circling firing squad about McCarthy, that Mitch McConnell is going to use that to his advantage in the Senate, and we're going to be right back where we started from. And so, I just don't think that's the most productive thing right now. It might come to that, but I think we got to use every opportunity possible to fight for the country first, and then we'll deal with all the internal politics later.
One more question on this. Do you think Gates is trying to position himself to run for governor? That's my sense. As a Floridian, that's my sense.
Yeah, that's happening. But look, everybody that gets themselves involved in politics, they all have to make a decision on how they're going to, go about their business and handle themselves. I'm not going to comment on what he's doing. That's just what I think. But in terms of the governor's mansion, the people of Florida are going to decide that one, and the Republicans of Florida are going to decide who's going to be the nominee.
Mm-hmm. And your proposal is receiving, you say there's some conservatives who are not going to back it. What is it, 5, 6, 7 of them or so?
Well, look, the concern is that, people are starting to ratchet up voting no on it. So honestly, Mark, we got to see where it goes from here. All I'm going to do is just be honest with my members about where they are, where we are, what's possible, what's not. And at the end of the day, they represent their district like I represent mine. But I know that they all care about the country. They want to fight for the country. We want to reverse all this crazy stuff that Joe Biden has done. I just think that having internal Republican fights about this stuff right now, when we can put Joe Biden on the line. And let me say this. Joe Biden is the first president in the modern era who has no control over the bully pulpit, Mark. Even his own staff don't want him near the bully pulpit. Mm-hmm. They play elevator music to get him off the stage. We've never seen anything like this. And so if you're telling me that we can't win real political gains against this guy, then what are we doing on Capitol Hill, Mark? And that's my overall concern.
Yeah, you're in trouble if that's what you're doing. How about on the McCarthy side? Are they sort of receptive to this idea?
Yeah, they're receptive to it, and they've kind of, given me and a couple of the other members room to try to figure some things out. And, even when it's going to come to having to figure out the appropriation bills, I think we have a group of people that are willing to try to figure out a way to get to something that can pass, that we can work from there. Look, there's going to be some things that they're going to want to do, Mark, that I'm going to just say absolutely not. I'm not supporting. And we've kind of had those conversations already, but you have the people in the chamber. They're the ones who vote, and so you have to try to get them to the most conservative place possible. That's what I'm focused on doing.
Chip Roy was on the program last week. He sounded very much like you, by the way, on this. And I said, Chip, here's my problem as a conservative standing back and watching this, who's not involved in Congress. The conservatives are not organized around any positions. In other words, they don't even have the same agenda other than cutting spending. You got guys over here pushing this, guys, and he admitted that was an issue. Do a lot of conservatives see that this is an issue?
Yeah, I do. And, Chip's right in this one. We disagree on a couple things, but, he's right about this. We're lacking a real cohesion, in my view, internally. Now, I think that the southern border is the one point where you all agree on. I believe that's the point of cohesion. And if we can, make a real fight, a real political battle in the press, in the halls of Congress, so that the American people can see what's happening and see, man, these Republicans are right. We should be securing the border. That makes sense. Then it gives that cohesion in the House to then continue that fight onto the weaponization of the Department of Justice, onto agencies that have woke garbage in them and weaponized garbage in them that we got to get out. And I think, Mark, the one thing, I answered some phone calls in my office today. Look, there's a lot of Republicans in our country. A lot of them are your listeners. They're tired. They're tired of this government. They've been lied to before. They've been lied to by Republican leadership before. They've been told this is the time we're going to fight, and the fight never materialized. And I get their frustrations. I share those same frustrations. And if I didn't think there was a pathway to succeed, I wouldn't even be doing this right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I agree. I'm disgusted. I just wrote a whole book on it. But I do think if you can get an 8% cut on spending, except for the military and veterans, even for a 30-day or 60-day deal, at the same time, you're focusing attention on the border and what needs to be done about the border. I mean, that seems pretty good to me. 8%? It's a big number.
Yeah, that's the bill. And Mark, I'll add, that does not mean that we're just going to do that and nothing else.
Right.
Members are already talking right now about ways to further cut some of these agencies. That way we can get responsible agencies that are doing the job of the American people, not doing the job of the radical left or not doing the job of the never-Trumpers. They're doing the job of the American people, and that's what matters more than anything else.
And I also think you can get the upper hand on the Democrats because of the border issue. You're right. It's such an important priority. And the massive debt, and here you're saying, okay, we're slashing 8% except for these two, and we're going to deal with the border. And then you have the Democrats who are saying dead on arrival, and I think you have them on their heels then, don't you?
Yep, that's the point. That's the whole point right there. And again, look, listen, first of all, Chuck Schumer, nobody really knows who he is. I mean, I know you do, but most people don't even know who the Democrat leader is in the Senate. Joe Biden, are you kidding me? They see Karine Jean-Pierre more than they see him. And so these are the political dynamics that are in front of us. I think we have an opportunity to really win this fight, but you don't win any fights you don't get engaged in.
All right, Byron, you're welcome back anytime. Take care of yourself, sir.
All right. Thanks, Mark.
All right, be well.